Welcome to Contour Drawing. Today we're going to talk about your contour hand project, and in particular we're going to talk about what contour drawing is, how it's going to help you become a better artist, and we're going to practice contour drawing, 3 different types of contour drawing in our next project. So contour is the outline or shape of an object, and here we have the outline or shape of 3 different hands. These were done by Sarah Langworthy a couple years ago. And contours, they don't have to just do with outlines too. It can also be like the surface of the hand as well. We'll get into that when we talk about cross contour. So contour comes from the Italian word contorno, means to draw a line, which is what you're doing when you trace the contour of something. And when we're drawing things from life, we need to train our eye to trace the outline of an object and then record that with our hand at the same time onto paper. So there's 3 different types of contours. There's blind contour. That's when you look at the object 100% of the time and you don't look at your paper at all. Blind contours tend to look a little rough. Proportions of fingers or placement of things might be off. The second type is contour, which most people are comfortable with because this allows you to look 50% at your object and the other 50% down at your paper while you're drawing. So your eye is constantly going back to the object, going back to your paper as you're drawing. And as you can see, the size and proportion of the fingers in relationship to the hand that's here looks a little bit more realistic. Now, the last type is called a cross contour. And cross contour means that we're looking at not just the outline of the object that we're drawing, but we're also looking at the surface or the shape and the curves in that form. So, for example, your hand is rounded on top, your fingers are rounded, they're cylindrical. And what the artist is doing here is that she's indicating lines that show the shape of the surface of the hand as well. So she's outlining that too. So we're going to do all 3 of these for our next project, and we're going to use a triangle composition. Now, triangle composition is one rule that's used by artists to set up their designs, and it's a great way to get your viewer to move their eye across the paper. So I'm going to get you guys started in how to do that. So I'm going to move Sarah's artwork out of the way. Next, what you're going to do is start off with one of the 3 types. I'm going to start off with my blind contour. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to put it in a position that's comfortable for me. Now, there's no tracing. We're not just tracing onto paper. We're trying to get away from that so that we can look at an actual object and then draw that object realistically. So in order to do that, you kind of have to break away from tracing or using stencils in order to draw things realistically. We got to train our brains. Okay, so I'm going to get my hand comfortable. And remember, with blind contour, I am not going to look at my paper. So I'm actually going to move my hand off the screen so it's a little bit more comfortable for me. And I'm going to pick a point somewhere on my hand to start drawing. And then what I'm going to do is, with my eye, follow around and trace all the details that I see. My hand's going to move in the same pattern as my eye as it's following around that object. And I'm going to try to copy or replicate that onto my paper. Now, from time to time, you may need to lift your pencil and go back and add some details. For examples, the fingers that are curving over, your fingernails. You may even need to, add some wrinkles. My hand is folded in, so I do have some wrinkles that are on my palm. And also, too, I have a lot of detail that's on the wristband of my watch. So I'm going to move this off the screen, and I'm going to look only at my object, not my paper. But I'm also going to plan, I'm going to have my hand at an angle so that I draw it in this section here. Because I'm going to have one hand here, another hand coming down, and another one coming in from the side here. So I kind of get this nice triangle effect with all 3 of the hands. Okay. So I've got my hand off of the paper here on an angle. I'm going to start at my wrist. Actually, I'm going to start at my arm. I'm going to work very slowly, and this takes time, guys. If you finish a contour of your hand in less than, I would say, 5 minutes, you're probably going way too fast. Even 5 minutes is pretty fast too. And the more that you do this kind of drawing, the better that you get at recognizing the relationship between the spaces between objects, for example, the spaces between fingers. You also strengthen your perception skills. You strengthen your ability to draw with what you see. So that's your perception skills. Sorry, I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing. It's really hard to talk and draw at the same time, especially when you're doing contour drawing or any kind of realistic drawing. And line contours, they're not probably going to look super realistic because you don't know where your pencil is on your paper, right? You're not looking at your paper. So these are supposed to look a little rough. So don't get discouraged, because in the next one that we're going to do, that's the contour drawing. That one's a little bit easier, and I find that students tend to like that one a little bit. So I'm coming up, and oh, I'm off my paper. Okay, so I'm going to go look back at my paper now and at my hand. Keep your hand in the same position. And I noticed that there are some deformities. My thumb is like super big, but I'm going to go back in and add some of the details in this. So I'm going to continue drawing and adding those details, and then I'm going to come back and I'll show you guys regular contour drawing.